Hi everyone and welcome to my place. I've had a request from Joyce in Belfast. She saw at a market not so long ago, really cool and groovy gardener's pinny, and she wanted to know how to make one. She'd been online, couldn't find anything, and she sent me a request of which I really love. So if you've got any requests for anything, do drop me a line. But anyway, Joyce, this is for you. Belfast, my father's from there. Right, this is what you need. You need some fabric, any kind of fabric, nice sort of a good fabric that can be washed because this will get dirty. You also need some plastic, some fabric covered plastic or something that you can wipe down. You need some scissors. You'll also need a knitting needle. You need some pins and you need some really lovely tape, which is we're going to use to form the ties for our garden pinny. Now you also need another piece of fabric which we're going to actually turn into making a pocket, and you can make your pocket as long or as wide as you want. Now in regard to the amount of material that you need, it will depend on how long you want it to go and how wide you are, and I like mine to go about round to here. Anything around the back I sort of like sometimes get stuck on things in the garden, so I just keep it nice and compact. Right, once you've determined your requirements or your length, the next thing to do is to bring the two right sides of your fabric together. Make sure that they've all been cut to the right length, and if they need to be all evened up, make sure that is done before you start. Right, so from there the next thing to do is we are going to pin, just like we've done with most of the other sewing things, because I've actually got a little, this is actually for helping those of you out there who don't know how to sew. So the more times that I do this, the more times you see it, the better it's going to be, because evidently, according to my friends who are scientists, you need to do something 22 times before you're proficient at it. Okay, so once you've got all of that there, all sewn around, come along to here, come along to there, and leave a small opening in which you can bag it out. That's what it is referred to when you're turning something out. Right, once you've done that, put that to one side. The other thing that you need to do is to take what is going to be your pocket, which is going to go to the front, and you need to go to the sewing machine and then do a 1 centimetre seam all around. So fold that over, do that there, and then do the same over there, but I'll show you that in a minute. Right, once you've got that all sorted out and it's all been sewn up. If you didn't have a sewing machine, you could possibly do this by hand, but it takes so long, and you can get really good sewing machines for not that much money. Okay, so once you've done that, the next thing to do is to clip your little edges, and the reason we do that is so that we have, when you turn it inside out, you have a nice flat seam and corners. Right, from there, where's my opening? Oh, every time I do this, I seem to lose my opening. Okay, right, from there, push that inside out like so. Give that a nice shape, and you'll notice if you've been following my sewing and my crafts that I have used this material on lots and lots and lots of projects, and the reason I've done that is because even though I'm in the garden, I do like to have things all matching and neat and tidy. Right, get your knitting needle and then just push out those corners. Be very careful that you don't push too hard and go right through, because if you do that, then you're just going to have to turn it inside out and do it all again. Okay, pushing that out there like that. And like, just as I'm doing this, I just have to tell you, look, I'm loving you all sending me little messages. So you just spread the word and tell everybody that if you want to know anything, just go to Astar's place. Right, once that's all been done like so, and that there is going to go closest to me, and I'd rather have that fabric close to me than the plastic. Okay, right, the next thing to do is where you've got that seam allowance, that then needs to just be pinned across like so. Very similar to what I did with the outdoor picnic cushion. So if you're stuck and need to know what I did or what else you can do with these, you're just going to have a look. Right, from there you now need to put, once that, just pin that across there for now, we don't need to stitch it. Now as I said with the pocket, you need to turn that seam allowance over, so that's another centimetre, and then what I've done is I've got marked the middle here, and I need to find the middle here, so I'll just mark that. We'll just put that little pin there. This is so that everything just is in the right place, and then bring that. Now this can be positioned wherever you want it, high or low. I prefer mine to be down, several inches. Then that just gets pinned around like so. Continue pinning that around, pin that, lots of pinning. I always do pinning, and even though I've been sewing forever and ever and ever, it makes it easier to do it at this stage. Right, so then that is going to get sewn around there. Then get your tape and then make sure that you've got enough to go right around to the back to tie it up. Find the middle again, and I'll just put a little pin there so that I know where I'm going, so that we've got even ties. There is my middle mark there, so I'm going to pin that onto there, and because there's a good centimetre, I'll just take that up just a little bit further so that I only have to do one lot of stitching. So stitch that right across there. Ow! That pin just went right into my finger. I hope there's no blood. Right, so then what you're going to do is you're going to stitch across the top, you're going to stitch across there, stitch all around there, and then if you wanted to divide this pocket into, say, 2 or 3, you're just going to sew down there and across there, or just one down the middle. Right, with the magic of being organised and television, I've actually made one here, and there it is, and I've done 2 pockets. Look at this. This is fantastic. And then just tie that off into there. Going into the garden, of course you'd have your secateurs, put that into there. Maybe you want some seeds, put your seeds into there. Off you go. Friends needing gifts. Nice garden pinny. Easy, easy, easy. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope I've helped you. Joyce and I will see you again. And look at this, before I go, look. Fantastic gifts for gardeners, or for you to go in to do battle with weeds or whatever is annoying you or needs attended to in the garden. Thanks for calling, and I'll see you another day.